Dr. Yemi Kale is the Statistician General of the Federation. He was profiled by the Financial Times as the statistician who doubled Nigeria's economy.
Dr. Kale, you recently released the 2017 unemployment numbers, where according to the report, 15.99 million Nigerians were unemployed. That's about 16 million, against Q4 of 2016, where it was 11.5 million. However, you did tweet it, and I quote, "Rise in unemployed not same as job losses." Can you explain that?
Well, there are several reasons why the increase in number of unemployed can occur. An increase in number of unemployed just says that you went out into the market, into the streets, and counted the number of people that are looking for work but cannot find work and are allowed to work legally. You might not have work for several reasons. You can be that you are working previously and you lost your jobs. You can also be because you're a fresh graduate from school, you just left university, or you ended leaving secondary school and you choose to look for work. So it doesn't mean that when you say it has increased to about 16 million, it doesn't mean that all those people lost their jobs. It means that some people came into the market and started looking for jobs. There are several reasons. There are those that finished their degree and then chose to go and do higher degrees like masters, PhDs, and now they have finished their degrees, they now start looking for work. Once they start looking for work, they join that and they can't find, they join that unemployed. So it's not all about people that lose their jobs, also people that enter the job market. Now you enter the job market legally when you are at the age of 15. So everybody at the age of 14 that had their birthdays and are now 15 and are now looking for jobs, not all of them are looking for jobs, and cannot find work will be unemployed for that period. So it's not just about job losses. That's what I was trying to make, because people were saying, counted the difference of 4 million and said 4 million people lost their job. That's not correct. 4 million people were added into the unemployed number of unemployed people, and it's a combination of job losses. That's true. It's also a combination of new entrants into the labor market looking for work. In fact, it's more of that than job losses.
Do you have an exact number of how many job losses since Q4 of 2020?
No, we don't, because the objective of that unemployment report was to measure the number of people that were unemployed or underemployed. We have a separate project that attempts to count the number of jobs that are created and lost, and that's not what this report. So there are different reports that have different objectives. There are different reports that have different indicators that speak to different things, and it should not be mixed up with each other. You have to use the particular report and indicator for what it's meant to reveal as far as data is concerned.
According to the figures, about 6 million people were jobless when President Buhari took over office in 2015, and now it's about 16 million. How can you explain this? What role did the recession that we had to go through play in all of this? I think we're still in a recession, I think.
Well, first of all, we are not in a recession. A recession is defined as 2 consecutive quarters of negative gross domestic product, not of how many people have food to eat, not of whether the health or educational system works, not whether the prices of the market are high or low, but has to do with gross domestic product for the national economy. And in that national economy, having a positive GDP growth takes you out of recession. Now, having a positive GDP growth, even if the positive growth is 0.0000000, add another 10 zeros, 0.1, once it's positive, you are out of a recession. Being out of recession is not the same thing as saying your economy has fully recovered.
So what's the implication to the numbers that,
starting, first of all, whether or not you enter the recession or not, the number of unemployed will grow if the demand for jobs is less than the available supply of jobs. So even if you create 10 million jobs, but the demand for jobs in that particular period is 11, you have a shortfall of 1 million. That 1 million will be added to the number of people that are unemployed. So an increase in unemployment on the number of unemployed doesn't necessarily mean that jobs are not being created. It just means not enough jobs are being created. And it can mean no jobs are being created, but the point is the demand for jobs is more than the supply. Like I mentioned, Nigeria has a very young population. So the number of people that will be moving over from 14 years to 15 years, which is the immediate year you're now eligible for work, and would choose to look for work, is significant because you have a huge population. Once they go into the market to demand for work, if they cannot find work, they now add to those numbers. And of course, it will build up over the years. That's a natural structural problem that would result in an increase in the number of people that are unemployed. The second aspect of it is you now have a recession, in an economic recession, and that goes to job losses. In an economic recession, businesses are struggling. The first thing they tend to do is to give up, to start laying off workers. So of course they will lay off some workers just to keep their business going. So those that already had jobs will go and join those that are even coming in looking for work, thereby filling it. So in a recession, jobs that will be created will not be created, and you have a possibility that even people that already have jobs lose their jobs. So yes, a recession tends to worsen an already structural problem of a lot of people entering the job market without having enough jobs to cater for them. If you go through the numbers, you'll see that a lot of the pressure came from those young people within the ages of 15 and 34. And also, if you cross-reference that with graduates, you see that it was actually graduates that seem to be they have the bigger problem. And there is a reason. Graduates would be reluctant to go and do informal sector job, what we call underemployed. They are less likely to go and do those kind of jobs. If someone that comes out with a degree, a secondary school certificate, for example, is more willing to go and do blue-collar, informal underemployment. But a university graduate would be reluctant. It will take him a while. So he will stay in that market looking for a formal sector, white-collar job for a while before he now, out of frustration, I guess, move into a blue-collar job. So that's where the pressure is as well. Politicians
have actually openly, especially in this government, have challenged, and some have provided counterclaims. Let's start with the Minister of Agric, Audu, for instance. He said in his sector alone, in 2017, they were able to secure 6 million jobs. To Chris Ngigi, the Minister of Labour and Productivity, who claimed 7 million jobs. How do you deal with these counterclaims?
Well, we don't do politics at NBS. The National Bureau of Statistics is the official source of data.
But they've countered the data from your end.
I don't think our law empowers us to be counted. Like I said, the law states very clearly that NBS is the official source of Nigerian data. Everybody else can have their opinion, and they can do their own computations if they want to. But when it comes to national data, the authoritative source of data, the custodian of all national data, is the National Bureau of Statistics. So we don't comment on what other people, even ministers, say as far as data is concerned. We don't get involved in. We just do our work and we publish our data. Our data is for evidence-based policy and decision making, and that's what we do. We don't. So I really don't have any. We don't have the data anyway. That data of is it 6 or 7 million? We don't have that. So I'm not. I can't comment on what other data users or data producers say, but I can comment on what we produce here as the official source of data. We have not produced any data on job creation. We produce data on the number of people that were unemployed at a particular time, and that's what we are sticking to. I don't have no comment on any job creation. I don't have any counter claims because we don't have any job creation numbers to push out there. We have the numbers on those. We have the data on the number of people that are unemployed. If I had data on people that had jobs that had been created or lost, then I would say this is what the number is, but we have not completed that work, so I can't comment on what the Minister of Agriculture or the Minister of Labour or any other minister has said. We focus on what we do here.
In one of your recent outings, let's say one of the local stations, WeFM, yeah, to be precise, you said you did trash the UNICEF report that said about 20,000 Nigerians were born on the first day of this year. That's 2018, and you said it was poorly researched. What do you mean?
I think trash is too strong a word. Right. Secondly, I did not say poorly researched. I think my comment was relating to something that's where I said we're talking about whether we should publish data or not. I said I would rather publish nothing. I was asked a question more about why we don't have enough data out there, and I said, look, we're not properly funded. And I think at that point I used that phrase, and I said I would rather we focus on publishing a few reports properly done than publish poorly research just for the sake of publishing data. And that's what I referred to. On the issue of the UNICEF, I said that we were asked if we were involved in the data that said over 20,000 babies were born on the first of the year, and I said no, that we didn't work with UNICEF on that one. And the systems And I know that the data systems to capture that statement, to capture the babies to defend that statement are not strong enough for UNICEF to have made that claim. And I felt that it was probably just some estimate based on our estimated population growth rate that they used. So if you say your population growth rate is 3%, that's X amount in a year divided by 365 days, and you get an estimate for a day. I think that's what was used, as opposed to anybody actually combining, checking what different hospitals and different villages, how many babies were born. I said that it's very unlikely that that was what was done. It was an estimate. And that's what I said, and I stand by that. I'm fairly certain that it was an estimate that was used in coming up with those numbers. Nobody, the system is not in place to be able to compute that right on the first days when they made that claim. Does not exist in Nigeria.
You could be seen as President Jonathan's handover. I would assume that confidence in your work is the reason behind your reappointment as the DG of this agency. Do you get politicians who who are convinced that you deliberately go out of your way to make them look bad?
You get people, I won't even say politicians, people that, whether politician or otherwise, that sometimes say things like that. When you are coming from a system that is used to not having integrity or doing things the right way, when you are coming from a system where working in, having a position in government is a do or die affair, and you must keep the job at all costs, it's difficult for people to believe you do certain things just because you are doing your job. So if you do certain things, you hear people say, I believe that my opponents have paid you, even though I don't know who your opponents are, or which party you belong to. And so you have that, you have people that are paranoid and they always believe that there's something, when you do the right thing or you do certain things that ruffle some feathers, even though that was not the objective, they always believe that there's an agenda, there's an objective. People cannot do things just because they're doing their work or trying to do the right thing. So the people that have those mindsets, of course, would be paranoid and feel, well, he's only doing this because he has a game plan that has been, or a script that has been written for him to play out. The idea that you might just be doing certain things because that's what you have, that's the work you have been given to do, and you are going to do it as well as you can within your ability, is usually not a conclusion that you get a lot from many people. And so they believe, I've had ministers or governors in the past and so on say, question why some particular indicator looks this way and assume that there's some political reason behind it. But it's never, we don't do politics at NBS. I made that very clear. I might have my personal views on which party I support. I might have my personal views on which administration I prefer. I might have my personal view on which governor I like or I don't like. But when it comes to doing this job as Statistician General, I have no opinions. And that's exactly the way I carry this job.
I'll have a follow-up around the party you support later, not now. But I want you to be sincere. Have you been pressured or stopped from releasing any report from this agency at any particular time?
I've been Statistician General for 6 years across 2 administrations. There's at no time anybody has called me and ordered me not to publish any data. I think it is very clear I will do no such thing. And I think because of that, nobody bothers. What I get is, like you said, counter data. People come to say, during the last election, it was very interesting. You see the incumbents picked all the NBS data that was positive, GDP rebasing and so on, and went to town with it and rejected all the negative data and said poverty numbers are not correct. And then the opposition did the reverse, picked the poverty number, said that is correct, and said GDP rebasing is fake. It always happens. That's politics. But I always say at the end of the day, all our data is in the market, because one person is picking one half and not the other, but the other person is picking the other half. So everybody at one point using all our data. So that's fine. That's what the objective of data. That's how people use in Nigeria at the level of development and at level of, that's the way data is used politically. But like I said, we refuse. We're a government agency, but we refuse to get involved. We try to be as independent as possible. I report to the Minister of National Planning, but he doesn't even see the reports before they're published. He sees them like everybody. He might see it maybe an hour or so before, just because you want people to be able to speak to the numbers in case they ask questions. But they don't interfere in the day-to-day running and the technical operations of NBS is against the statistical law, and we don't accept it. We don't allow it to. The data is way too important, in our opinion, to solve a lot of the problems we have in Nigeria. A lot of the reasons why we are where we are because people don't pay attention to data and use data to solve problems. One of the reasons why the Northeast crisis is going on, the data stated clearly many years before that there was a problem in those areas. They were at the lowest level in terms of most social indicators. People didn't pay attention and fix it. And after a while, you find out the kinds of, you get the kind of problems we're having. So data is not something that we should use for politics. I mean, I'm firstly opposed to anybody trying to twist data for political reasons, because the objective of data is to fix problems. And that's the most important thing as far as we are concerned.
You told the Financial Times that there were political pressures to withhold the GDP report that stated clearly that Nigeria was in recession. How was it like?
There was no,
there were political pressures
to withhold the report.
The
GDP was in recession.
Yeah.
No, I never mentioned any such thing. And there was never any such attempt to do so. I've had only one interview with the Financial Times, and that had to do with the GDP rebasing,
right,
which was even before there was a recession. So there's no way I could have told them that when there was no recession at the time we were having the interview. It was about the GDP rebasing exercise and what it took to get. There was no recession at the time, and I've certainly not had an interview with the Financial Times since the Nigeria went in and out of recession. So I think you might be mixing up two different.
So okay. Before the last question I just asked, you did say that you present the report. Your minister gets to see the report 2 hours before the time.
Yeah. Well, not even my minister per se. I'm a member of the economic management team chaired by His Excellency the Vice President. And like I used to do even in the previous administration, it's just good practice to forward the report to them and say, this report is coming out in the next 30 minutes or in the next 1 hour, and here's the report. And the reason we are doing that is that it will be very embarrassing for a member of the economic team to be asked a question on the report and is not even aware there's any such numbers come out.
Has there been any time where the VP or the minister says, Dr. Kale, we cannot go out and publish this story?
There's not even
this report.
I either get a response that says thank you or none at all. Okay. Nobody calls to comment or ask me. They might call me to present at the next economic management team because they want to understand the numbers and ask questions. But that's But I've not gotten anybody calling and saying, "Oh, this report cannot go out." No, not once. Nobody. Not even the previous government called me to tell me this report can go out or when it can go out or when it can go up. No.
The BOT chairman of the Buhari campaign organization has been appointed the chairman of your agency, which is clearly a political appointment. The election timetables are all out. Can you assure Nigerians you would not hesitate to resign if you are not allowed to do your job creditably?
And I saw the names like everybody else. The name of the candidate, and that's the word I'm going to use, for the chairman of the Bureau of Statistics. And I said candidate because the 6 political members on our board still need to go for clearance by the Senate before they are confirmed. So I would say it's the president's nomination subject to confirmation by the Senate. I have never met him.
Or the president's appointees?
Well, I'm also a presidential appointee, so it's everybody the president appoints. Okay. And the president can appoint whoever he wants to. I don't believe that we should start making conclusions about an individual just because he represents a particular interest or not. I mean, I believe people should be allowed to show their hands and do let's know who they are before we comment on what they might not do. I have not met this man before. I don't know what his antecedents are. I don't know what is so I think it is wrong for us to say that there's a possibility that this appointment has anything to do with an attempt to control NBS or publish his numbers. Everybody.
What's your relationship with him so far?
With who?
With the appointee.
I have not met him. I don't know him.
Okay. But is there any point where you feel I can't do this no more? Where you feel
because of the appointee?
No, not the appointee for now. I mean, when your reports, your data, and your numbers are questioned to a point where
data, and I've said this many times, and I say it unemotionally, data would not be manipulated while I'm on this seat. It will not be doctored while I'm on this seat. If the data comes out and is favorable to government, fantastic. If it comes out and it is not, that's just too bad. Nobody is telling me to change that. And that's as Statistician General, I swear an oath to do my work properly. And I will not, let me just put it this way, I will not be the Statistician General at any time when the data is attempted to be manipulated, either positively or negatively. I will not do it. I will rather leave the job because it's very clear. I'll be in breach of my oath as Statistician General to do that. I don't intend to do that, regardless regardless of anything that might happen, any pressure that might put on me, which is not even happening anyway. We have a role to do our job. We have a law that backs the way we conduct our work, and we're going to continue holding on to that law regardless of who. And like I said, I would rather not have the job than doctor data, positively or negatively. I've said that completely several times, and I don't joke when I say that. Maybe I make those statements. In terms of getting fed up, well, I think I get fed up every week. At least once a week, I get tired because the work is extremely stressful. You're not properly funded. Getting data in across over 100 million Nigerians with different cultures and languages can be extremely difficult. The process of getting the data can be horrendous. In fact, I would like you to come and join us one of the times we are going to go and get our unemployment figures. So you go into the field and see the kinds of conditions that maybe you can take such a. It will be very interesting. See the kind of the hard work that our staff go through trying to get these numbers. Sometimes they have to rent boats in the south region to cross the rivers to get to the villages before they can get this information. There was a time they showed me pictures where the place was flooded. The water was right to their necks and so on, trying to cross that just to get this data. It's extremely hard work and difficult. And when I see those kind of things, it doesn't make me particularly happy that my staff have to go through. The condition, working environment is not the best. You're not properly funded. When you now produce the report, you now, like I said, you're somebody's enemy one way or the other, because some sector data will not be nice, and maybe the data on a particular state will not be nice. You have situations where the governor that liked you last month because the data on the state in a particular indicator was good, but this one is bad, because your enemy the next day and be afraid the day after. So it can be frustrating. The work environment can be frustrating, and you can get to a point where you just get, you feel you are tired. But then I remember that I took on the responsibility. I wasn't forced, by the way, and I have a responsibility to do my job, and that's what the Nigerian taxpayers' resources are being used to do. That's what they're paying me for. So I sleep on it, wake up the next day energized, and I go and look for the next bit of data, good or bad, to publish, to make some people happy and others unhappy, depending on whether the indicator is positive or negative.
A lot of Nigerians do value your opinion and they respect what you do a lot in terms of policies and whatnot. How do you think we'll get out of the unemployment numbers? Honestly, probably you have to step aside as a politician for now, or a political appointee. No, you're not a politician, a political appointee, let me correct that.
Political appointee, politician, and whatever way you describe it, I see myself as someone that was given a job to do, and that's what I'm doing, and I keep doing it. And I've always done that. The unemployment problem, I think, to be honest, I don't think it's a case of administration. Even if the previous administration was here, I think the unemployed would still have gone up. Because it's more of a structural problem. We have millions of young people coming to the market, into looking for jobs in a yearly basis. We have about 1 million people, graduates, coming at the same time. We have the policy of education for all. We opened up so many different levels of educational outlets, from polytechnics to private universities to government universities. So many people coming out, and the ability to get enough jobs created to meet their needs is no longer there. And the problem we also have is the fact that there are a lot of jobs in Nigeria, but most of these jobs are what we call informal sector jobs. They are blue collar jobs that sometimes even pay better, but our mindset, maybe our educational system, makes us look down on some of those opportunities. I've given this example before. When I did, it was laughed at. I will tell you by who. I said, for example, and I'm going to use a crude example. We all have most of us have some form of domestic help in our houses. We pay them over the table, 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is, 15,000 naira. They don't pay any taxes. They are not properly regulated. They are doing jobs that people, they call them, in the UK, they call them au pairs. But the difference is that those au pairs are paid better than some bankers in Nigeria. But there's dignity in labor. Now, you tell a graduate, does he want to go and be a domestic assistant? He will say no. But sometimes the domestic assistants earn more than. I have a friend that works as a marketer in a bank. She earns 60,000 naira a month. That's roughly 2,000 naira a day. I told her that she would be better off being a taxi driver. Now, just a taxi driver, just one trip from town to the airport, he earns like 5. He earns her salary on one trip in a day. But she would rather wear a suit and tie with an ID card and say she's a banker than get a car and drive and earn 10 times.
In a sentence, to wrap up, how do we get out of it?
I think our mindset in terms of jobs must change. We, the younger people, and yes, I added myself as part of the younger people because I am part of the younger people, have to look at jobs in a different way. The objective of a job is to earn a living. And once you understand that the objective of a job is to earn a living, you create more dignity in that profession, and you find this, you see the ripple effect and now create enough jobs. But white-collar jobs, formal sector jobs will never ever be enough in this country. The US creates about 2.5 million jobs a year. We need at least 4 million jobs every year to keep the unemployment rate constant, just keep it from moving. For you to create 4 million jobs, you have to look outside the traditional job opportunities, outside the traditional sectors of oil and gas, telecoms, manufacturing that we do. I think that's the way to do it.
Thank you, Dr. Kale.
Thank you very much.